Welcome to Crime Chronicles on the Shepherd Station. It's me and Andy again. We're sitting here talking about some of the things that we did in our law enforcement career. As we've said before, some of them are funny, some of them are not. Some of them have a message, some of them don't. Some of them are just, wow, that really happened.
Some of them happened before some of you people were born.
Yeah, they did. Today, the one that I want to bring out is, I call it the Sturgeon Court Massacre. It actually really was. Back in 96. Andy, I think you were part of this too.
Yeah,
the latter part of it.
I was there. I was there. I mean, it already happened. I was in narcotics, advice intelligence at the time when this happened.
Yeah. There was and to get everything right, I'm going to paraphrase a lot of it, but I was a first responding officer to Sturgeon Court. I don't remember the address, but it was started out as a suspicious call. You know, and you go to a lot of those, and they end up turning into, whoa, this is more than just suspicious, and that's why they give it out that way. But I was a first responding, and I'm new at the police department, so I'm this daisy fresh rookie. I just got, put out solo, and I get there, and there's this frantic individual in the front of their yard. And we start talking to them. So what's going on, man? They were shooting. It was down the road. They were shooting. And I'm like, yeah, whatever. Sturgeon Court.
Right.
That stuff happens all the time on Sturgeon Court. So I said, I said, go check it out. And Scott Heath, who was, at the time he was a canine handler, he actually shows up as well. I wish I could remember the other officer that was there. Anyway, we go down there, and this is where everything kind of changes for me at that point. This is one of those, oh, wow moments.
Defining moments in your law enforcement career.
This is no longer, this is the stuff you see on TV.
Yeah, this is no joke.
Yeah, this is real. This is happening.
Yeah.
So as we get towards the location where it took place, as we're walking down there, I'm like, that looks like a body.
At the back door, it was like out the
No,
back
this
door.
was a body in the front first.
Oh, it was the front? Okay.
Yeah, there was one in the front. And I looked, I went, that looks like a body laying there, man. So we move over, and all of a sudden, the tactical side kicks in. You don't know what you're walking into. So we move into this, and we check this out. Sure enough, this guy's got bullet holes all in him. He's laying there, he's dead. So now we know, all right, we got a bad situation going on here. We don't know where the shooter is. We don't know anything about what's going on other than there's a body in the front yard.
Yeah, and you don't even know the rest of the story yet.
Yeah. So we go into this tactical mode. Guns are out. We're clearing the area around us, and we're moving around to the back of the house. And the house is one of those typical, it's those, you've seen them a million times.
Built in the 60s.
Yeah, built in the 60s. It's one of those shot style houses. It's, you know that there's drugs sold out of here. And as we're going around the back, I'm sitting there thinking, man, I don't know what I'm thinking. This first dead body as far as, going to stuff like that before. And then I see another body. And probably 10 to 15 feet from the back door. The back door had these set of steps that were going up to the door.
Yeah.
This wooden door, swinging door. And I'm looking down, I'm like, this one's full of bullet holes too. I'm like, oh man, this got even more real than it got, when we saw the first body.
Yep.
So at this point, I look up and I see the door, and there's bullet holes all in the door. And I'm like, the shooter's inside. I said, I'm a fresh rookie. I'm about to go into a gunfight. Mm-hmm. And my heart's racing. That pucker factor has hit max overload there. And we get the door open, and we're clearing, and we go in. And I remember just the sense of everything got dark. And I don't mean like physically you couldn't see it got dark.
Right.
Just the whole scene just took on this dark aura and feel about it. You just knew you walked into a scene of, if you looked back and could envision it while it was taking place, it was just horror, man. Right. You knew it was. And so we're clearing this room, this house. It's not a big house. And, I'm trying to go over everything that I learned in the academy, everything that every, senior officer had ever taught me. And I'm like, I got to do this right. I don't want to die. Because I knew in my mind we were going to find a shooter in there. Mm-hmm. And we cleared every room in this house. And there's nobody until I come to the very last room. So as I come to the last room, I'm pieing that corner, and I see this pair of feet, and they're propped up, kind of crossed, like the dude was just sitting in a chair, right? And I'm like, this guy is so bold. He's just sitting there waiting on us. I hadn't seen anything else. All I can see is his feet. And I start, the standard, hey, show me your hands, yelling, guns pointed, I'm going to smoke this dude if he even tries something, right? Show me your hands, show me your hands, show me your hands. He never moves, doesn't move. So I pie a little more, and I can start seeing legs, and he's still not moving. And I'm like, something's not right. The more I pie, and, you're going to get a little bit graphic here. I pie around. Well, there's a reason he wasn't moving. Mm-hmm. He's dead,
So you got 3 dead bodies.
I got 3 dead bodies. This guy's sitting there, and there's blood coagulated out of his head. He was shot in the head, and he's still sitting in the chair. There's no gun. There's no nothing. So we cleared everything, and once we got everything cleared, scene's safe and secure to what we thought. I think that's where you came in as far as this goes. Turns out, I believe it was a bad drug deal that went.
It was. A guy named Jerry Jerome Smith was actually the shooter, and I know John White at the time John was probably the captain over CID at the time. Remember John responding, and myself and we were at work that night and ended up, they told me and Gonzalez to, hit the streets and hit up our informants and that kind of thing. And I think they'd already developed the suspect there as Jerry Jerome Smith, but it was a bad crack deal. And they said, you guys need to get out and see if you can find this guy. And myself and Gonzo actually found the guy and got him out from under a bed over in the bottom, not just off of Chickasaw Street.
So what was interesting about that is it was a bad crack deal. Mm-hmm. He goes over to the house. He buys from the house, from somebody at the house, whoever it was. And he felt like he got ripped off, right?
Yeah, I don't remember the exact circumstances.
But he goes back
mm-hmm.
and just commits this, call it what it is, this
triple homicide.
Triple homicide. And if I'm not mistaken, that was the first triple homicide in recorded history with Dothan, wasn't it?
First one that I know of that I've been made aware of. Yeah.
And what's really, really cool about that story, I say cool, people died and it's not cool. Don't misconstrue that. Is that was the first time, there's several things. That was the first time that I sat there and answered one of the questions, am I going to be able to do this job?
Right.
Man, because I'm telling you, when you see that first dead body, and it's not like, okay, you've seen, you go to a wreck or somebody's hurt or somebody's killed in a wreck or somebody dies, natural causes, but you go to a scene and it's because somebody killed them.
It was an intentional act.
Yeah. Now you're sitting at a homicide. This guy's got bullet holes in him. The dude that you just talked to said, man, they're down there shooting. Mm-hmm. You don't know where the bad guy is, right?
Right.
So at this point, I'm like, and it answered some questions for me. And this is not about Eric. Hey, man, I'm tough on this. But it answered those questions that I think officers need to ask themselves. How do you react to that?
Right.
And I was able to, focus on what I'd been trained on, the guys before me, and the mentalities that they had. Hey, man, you just got to, you've got to do this, this, and this. And we were able to complete what we needed to complete. Right. And, fortunately, it had you don't want to say it had a good outcome because the guy got brought to justice. But fortunately, the guy was, you guys were able to catch him.
Right.
And bring him in, and he faced, the
he's currently on death row.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
For that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's still on death row for that?
Yeah, he's still on death row. That was in 1996.
Wow.
Almost,
that's a failure.
Almost 30 years.
That's a failure of our justice system.
Yeah.
100%. The other thing is if the unit that I worked for you in, that was the defining case and call that started that, because I think what it was you had a press release that came out after that. They're talking about, okay, it's a triple homicide. And I think somebody said during the press release, well, it was a known crack house.
Right, yeah.
And the whole response was, if it was a known crack house, why have you not done anything about it?
Actually, this was 1995, 96 when this happened, so John White would have actually been the chief at that time.
Yeah, he was the chief
in August of 94.
I think it was, I can't remember who was the captain over CID. I can't remember his name. He had
Lewis Miller.
No, it wasn't Miller. It was David something, wasn't it? He had
who? John Collier.
I don't think it was John Collier.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Maybe this guy was a lieutenant in CID. Yeah. He had
David Kirkland.
Kirkland, that was it. Yeah. I think it was David Kirkland that might have said something about during the press release.
Right.
But I can't remember that. I don't want to quote that the wrong way.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about that was that was the start of, It initially started out as the CPU,
Yeah.
the Community Policing Unit, because they wanted to put together a special team.
That wasn't cool enough.
That wasn't cool enough.
I came up with that acronym, crime unit.
The crime unit.
Yeah.
So that was
Community Resource Interaction with Mobile Enforcement.
and that turned out to be
Crime.
a very, very effective unit.
Some of the most fun I've ever had in law enforcement.
Absolutely, man. There was some good times in that.
Yep. So,
But that's my story for today. That was right there in Dothan, Alabama on Sturgeon Court. So if you guys think that nothing happens in Dothan, Alabama, well, that was back in '96.
yeah, it was.